Welcome to the podcast today. So, I help to heal people's minds from hell because this hell is self created. But the thing that most people don't know, that they don't realize, is that they've done this and that they're currently doing it to themselves. This is self created hell. And I know for certainty, with every wonder of my heart, that we are not meant to live in this self-imposed hell. So I want to help you guys to get out of it. If there is any hell that you're currently experiencing in your life, you could, and I'm sure would agree, and especially if you're listening to this, that it all comes from the mind. Everything comes from the mind. Everything that is visible around you, everything that you're looking at right now, if you just look around the room, all of this, every single thing that you're seeing, single thing that you're experiencing has come from belief. And that belief comes from your consciousness. So the consciousness is the base of absolutely everything in this world. Consciousness. The mind. So, and I know that I've said this before, but you can go from living in heaven to living in hell with a thought. With a thought. That is what changes the way that you're feeling, changes what is happening in your life, is when a thought changes. So, let's say you're having the best day. You're hanging out with some friends, you're doing something totally amazing. What a great and wonderful day. And then all of a sudden, something creeps into your mind. Like, let's say there's some kind of self-doubt. Maybe you look back on the day and you think, I know a lot of people do this because of my clients, that they'll look back and be like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have said this certain thing, or maybe I shouldn't have done this certain thing when we were out. And what happens? As soon as you do that, if you were to even just think about that right now, what does that do to the level of vibration that you had in your body? So what would that do to that uplifted feeling that you had just had coming off of that wonderful day? As soon as you were to start questioning yourself or allow some doubt about yourself and maybe your importance or your value or your worth or whatever it happens to be, as soon as that doubt creeps in, all of a sudden you have taken away from this heavenly existence, this heavenly experience that you were having, and you introduced hell into it. So what I help people do is to get rid of the hell from your life. So hell is things like anger, resentment, criticism, jealousy, judgment of other people or of yourself, doubt. It could be things like depression or anxiety. The list goes on and on and on and on. So the other day, yesterday, I was working with a client and, he wasn't feeling great. And so I said, what do you want to work on? And he was like, I'm not really sure, I don't really know and whatever. So I pull out my assessment like I, do with anybody. Who's not sure what they want to work on, and we go through it, and the first 7 or 8 things that I read off, all applied to him. Was like, okay, well, yeah, actually I have been experiencing a lot of frustration, a lot of agitation, a lot of anger, a lot of sadness, that kind of thing. So all of those things are hell, and they are all self-imposed. Now, we believe that those things are not self-imposed, right? We think that they're coming from something somebody else did, a situation, a circumstance, but all of those things that are presented to us in our life, we have been the original creator of them. We were the original creator. Now, some people, this is how you spiritually progress. This is the key to it, is to understand and be aware that it is you that has created all of this. Now, some people get super defensive about this, and the more defensive that you get about it, you can see that there's more things that you're unaware of in yourself, or that you don't want to admit, this dark, shadowy side to you, right? So let's just talk about that for a second. So getting defensive. So if you get defensive about things, let's say that somebody brings something up, a certain topic, let's say lying, okay? Let's say that that really bothers you because I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. This was the circumstance for them that they really, really, really can't stand liars. Yes, I agree. When people lie, it's super annoying. It's super annoying, right? And not only is it damaging when somebody lies, but you are then basing your reality off of a lie. And so the fabric of the reality that's around you being based off of a lie is in itself damaging. So I can understand why this would really bother somebody, but let's go deeper into this. Okay, so we are going to identify here right now what it is about yourself that perhaps you haven't admitted to yourself. Now, this might be a very uncomfortable exercise. That's my specialty, helping people feel uncomfortable. Because when we become aware of these things about ourselves that we're not aware of, then we can change them just like that, so easily, so easily. So I did this exercise about 10 years ago. And I know the people in the group found it really, really uncomfortable. And I liked that. I like, as soon as somebody starts feeling uncomfortable, yes, of course, it sucks in the moment, but this is how we get spiritual progress. This is how we get deep. Okay, so here is the exercise. I want you to think about things, characteristics of other people that really bother you. So that could be people who are jealous or condescending or liars or whatever it happens to be. So just pause this for a second and make yourself a little list. Just make yourself a little list. You will be happy that you took the time to do this, and it will only take you a couple seconds. So if you're listening to this right now, pause it, and I want you to write those things down that really bother you about other people. Okay, I'm going to assume that you paused it and that you made your list. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take that list and we're going to say out loud, you actually have to say this out loud, these things, but you're going to say it as if it's you. So let's say that on your list you have jealousy and criticism and liars. Okay, those are my 3 examples. Okay, you would then say, you would put yourself in that place and you would say, I am jealous. I am critical of others. I am a liar. Okay, so take your list, pause me again, and I want you to say those things out loud, but you're saying, I am these things, right? It doesn't matter if you are or if you're not, whatever, you're just going to say them out loud. So just do that right now. Okay, so I'm going to assume, again, that you paused it and that you said those things out loud. Okay, now, on a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to write down how much each one bothered you. So 10 would be like, oh, that made me super uncomfortable. I really didn't like saying that. And 1 would be like, it didn't bother me at all. So just pause me again here. Pause. This is a free workshop for you guys here right now. Pause it, write your number down. Okay, now that you've got your numbers, here's the thing. I want you to now say this out loud, okay? I want you to say, I am a taxi cab. Go ahead, say it out loud right now. Okay, so that didn't bother you at all, did it? No, it didn't. You know for certain that you are not a taxi cab, right? You know that for certain. So why does it not bother you? Because you know for certain that you're not. And it's almost laughable, right? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Here's the thing about your list. The more that it bothered you, the more that it is you. So if you said, I am jealous, and it made you super uncomfortable to say that and like almost offensive, like, ooh, I don't like saying that. It's because you're jealous. Okay? So sit with that, and rather than reject that part of you And you might be super defensive and you might be like, oh, I'm not those things at all. Yes, you are. Trust me, that feeling of defensiveness only comes from unawareness of the self. It only comes from unawareness of the self. So when you can sit in that and be like, think about it. So let's say the jealous was the thing. Okay, so I want you to think about that, or whatever your thing was, right? I want you to think about that for a second and think about the times that you have been jealous. Maybe that somebody got something else and you really wish that it was you, and it maybe even made you, mad at that other person or whatever it happened to be, but that feeling of jealousy was there, or whatever it was, criticism, whatever it happened to be. Once you become aware of this in yourself, of, okay, I guess maybe I do lie about things. I guess maybe I am really critical of others, or whatever it happened to be. These are just my examples. There's a million different things that this could be right now. Once you become aware of it, I want you to sit in that feeling and accept and love that part of yourself. So, often when something like this comes up, when we become aware of things, we want to reject it and resist it. And it's not the feeling, it's not the action, it's not the thing that you're doing or that you're thinking and that you're believing that's the problem. It is the rejection of that thing that is the problem. And as soon as you kind of love it and accept it, so let's say that jealousy was the thing that really bothered you. Okay, I want you to just tell yourself, I'm jealous, and I want you to send yourself, you can do this in a meditative state, or you can just think about it. I want you to send yourself so much compassion, because that feeling, or whatever it happened to be, it's there for a reason. And so I want you to just send love and compassion to that part of you. And as soon as you do that, you will notice that feeling of defensiveness starting to melt and go away. Not only that, but here in the future, you will be so much more aware of it, and you will be able to stop yourself when that same behavior or thought pattern comes up again in the future. Thereby, it might take some time. It might take a couple months. It might take however long. Thereby changing that thing about yourself. And then in a couple months from now, if you did this same exercise again, saying that exact same thing will not bother you, because you'll be aware of it, of, sometimes I have the tendency to be critical, but I'm really working on it. Or sometimes I have the tendency to lie about things, but I'm really working on it. Whatever it happens to be, it will soften that thing in you and make you so much more aware of it. And you can then work on changing that in yourself. And as soon as you do that, there's been spiritual progress that's been made. Now, here's the thing. This is why it's so important to really, truly become aware of yourself. Because what we are sending out is returned back to us. It's returned back to us. And it's returned back to us immediately. Some people say, I'm really good at manifesting. And, they can manifest these certain things, but then maybe they'll have other crappy things kind of happen in their life too. And they won't know why. It's because we're always manifesting. Constantly, every single second. Our energy is like a magnet. So your thoughts are energetic. This is scientifically proven that thoughts are energy. Now, that energy that gets sent out through magnetism is then returned back to you. So when people are good at manifesting, well, what have they done? They've maybe talked about something in a lighthearted way, saying, hey, I want this thing, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, this thing appears in their life. And the more spiritually evolved they are, the faster, the more rapid that they'll see that thing appear in their life. So the other day, I was out with my sister and we were antique shopping. That's something that we just love to do. So I live in a place, Joplin, Missouri, where there is 1 million antique malls around here. So we go out, we're shopping. And she's looking for a stop sign for her daughter who's in her 20s, something to hang on her wall. So she's looking through these signs, and there's like a whole bunch of them. And she goes, "Hey, do you want to look through there? Which one do you think is the best one?" So I'm looking through them. And I'm like, "Ooh, this one's the best." She's like, "Oh, there's a whole nother stack of them over there." So I go and I look through these other signs. And I said, "Ooh, I really like this one." But it was just a white, speed limit sign or whatever, but it was white and it was just like a cool looking sign. So I was like, "Ooh, this is nice, but it is definitely not a stop sign, right? Because that would be ridiculous to have a white stop sign, blah, 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 blah." Anyways, I joke about this. I probably joked about it for a minute about seeing a white stop sign. Anyways, we leave the store, blah, blah, blah. The next day, I go to another town, another city that's about an hour away from me. And I pull into the parking lot of where I'm going to go shopping. And lo and behold, in front of me is a white stop sign. This was about 10 hours after this conversation that we had. So because of the experiences that I've had in my life, I know that I need to be very careful with what I speak about because I'll manifest these things very quickly. But this is a perfect example of when we speak that we create. So it is not just the thoughts that we're having. The issue is that those thoughts lead to words, and those words lead to actions. And this is how we manifest. So if somebody is manifesting really negative things in their life, become aware of what it is that you speak about. Do you tell chaotic stories about other people, like, "Oh, you won't believe this crazy thing that happened to me today. This bad thing happened to this person," or whatever happened? When you are speaking about other people, the universe doesn't know this. It does not know this. It knows the energy that you're using, and it knows the words that you're using. There's a lot of power in the words that we use. And it will bring to you, because your thoughts are energy and they're brought back to you through magnetism, it will bring more of those things, more of those chaotic things that you're speaking about into your life. So I know it can be super addicting. Trust me, I've been there. It can be super addicting to talk about these negative things that happen to other people, right? It's a story. This is why the news puts out almost all negative news. Why? Because people want to see it. It's more addicting, and it makes them feel better about their own lives. There's a whole bunch of science behind this of why people would want that. But if you want better for your life, then you need to be aware of what it is that you're taking in, what you're watching, what you're speaking about, who you're hanging out with, all of those things. So if you hang out with people who are super critical of others, that they're always judging other people, don't for a second think that they're not doing it to you as well. They are. And don't for a second think that you can do that you can be critical and judgmental of other people and not have that come back on you in the same form that you sent it out. This is one example of manifesting, but because it's not a material thing, we don't necessarily think of this as manifesting, right? But we are manifesting our life. We are creating our life by what we're sending out and then what is returned back to us. So what happens if, let's say, you've had some terrible, tragic childhood, and you're like, "Well, I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to be beaten. I didn't ask for whatever it happened to be." So we come into this life. So there's a couple different things. We come into this life having to learn certain lessons. Like, we come here knowing, choosing our parents, choosing the people that are in our life, choosing these certain lessons that we want to learn. And sometimes we need these negative things to happen to us so that we can learn those lessons. Now, also, we get karma from previous lives. So if there was something that happened, let's say that you did something at the end of your life or something, and you didn't have time for the karma to play out in that lifetime, you will carry it forward, because there's no end. When we die, there's no end. Your energy doesn't just disappear. It still exists, and what you've put out still will come back to you. So this can be also from previous lives. Now, the more spiritually perceptive you are, the more you will admit to yourself, and you will know, but sometimes this takes a lot of deep subconscious work, that the things that you're experiencing in your life have all been your creation. So I will take clients, I always take them back. I always regress them back. That means just going back to when an incident started. But I will take a presenting issue. So let's say someone is really resentful towards somebody else. Okay, there's this resentment that's there. Okay, I'm going to follow that feeling of resentment back with the client. They are going to go back to whatever memory happens to be where this resentment started. Probably something that somebody said to them or did to them, whatever it happened to be. Okay, now that's the first part of it. So we're going to heal that. But so that there is spiritual progress, I'm then going to have them search their mind and find where it was them that created this. So this could be in a variety of ways. Maybe when they were younger, they did something similar to somebody else, and now they have received it back in their life. Or maybe this was a fear that they had, because fear is a very powerful emotion. And when you are sending that out from your mind through that energy that you're sending out, that magnetism is going to make that fear come back. Now, I see this all the time on TV. Like, I'm telling you, all the time. Someone on TV will speak about something. Let's say that we're watching there was this Navy SEAL show the other day, and this one guy says, "Oh, I'm afraid that this is going to happen." Well, what happens 30 seconds later? The thing that he said he was afraid of happened. Same with watching this other show the other day. This guy said, "Oh, this is my biggest fear. This is my biggest fear." And he must have said it friggin' 50 times, because I'm sure I've heard him say it at least 50 times. Well, what's happening? His biggest fear is coming to him. Why? Because he's sending it out energetically, and he is speaking about it, and therefore it is coming back to him. So even the circumstance with my ex-husband who cheated, I would have these visions of him cheating over and up for years. For years I had that, and I had this subconscious fear that that was going to happen. Well, what happened? Exactly the thing that I was sending, that I was putting out there. So having control of your mind is so vital and important. This mental maturity is what I call it. It has nothing to do with your age. Nothing to do with your age. It is actually being able to control your mind. Now, this can be a very, very difficult thing, because we have all of this past programming. We have all of these things that have happened in the past. We have all of these beliefs that we have gathered from the past. Everything that you are seeing around you in your life is a manifestation of your beliefs. It is a manifestation of your beliefs. So if you were living in a place that you're like, "Oh, my house is kind of crappy, I'm never going to have what these people have," you're right. And you're seeing it. You are seeing a manifestation of the beliefs that you have. And now you might say, well, how do I know, that these bad things are always happening to me? Well, I guarantee you that you're speaking about them. You're talking about them all the time. And I guarantee you that you are expecting more of them to happen. You do not know. You do not know, listen up, that tomorrow won't be different and won't be the most wonderful thing that you've ever experienced. But you guarantee for yourself that it will not be when you speak about and when you expect the same thing to happen again tomorrow. And if you're saying, let's say that you're somebody who's like into the mantras and into the affirmations or whatever it happens to be, and you're like, no, I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to expect different things, and I'm trying to bring all these things into my life. I guarantee you that you speak about every day, every single day. I guarantee you that you speak about things that you don't want to happen in your life. And I also guarantee you that subconsciously, even though you're speaking and you're, maybe saying these affirmations and you're saying these things and trying to change them, I guarantee you that subconsciously you don't believe those things that you're saying, that you're expecting something different. And that when you don't see it the very next day or the very next week or, however long, that you give up, that you quit, and things just go back to the way that they were before. Now, I'm not ragging on you, and I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. The reason why that is happening is because it's part of your programming. And so to change your programming is very difficult. If you do not do subconscious work to change your programming, it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. And people don't realize how vital this work is. So did you guys know that in the pyramids, there's inscriptions back in Egypt of people getting hypnotized? That this has been documented for thousands of years. Why? Because it is so important. It is how you reach the subconscious mind. It's the most important work that you could possibly do is subconscious work. And this is how you gain that mental maturity and how you cleanse your mind of the past. Now, I'm not saying that when we cleanse the mind that we are going to forget the past. We're not. We won't. We'll never forget it. I mean, you could, but it's not going to happen. When I say cleanse it, what I mean is heal it. Healing the past, because it's all our perception. So these negative things that happened to me in my life, I could be a victim of them, I could blame, I could whatever, but no, I am taking responsibility and accountability for them, knowing that they have been my creation, and I didn't know. They were happening unknowingly. I didn't know that they were happening and that it was my creation. But now that I'm aware of this, now that I've had spiritual growth and progress and I'm aware of this, I can help others to learn. I can teach other people how they can then also gain control of their minds by cleansing away the past. This is, part of the reason why I made that mental cleanse series, so that you guys can start to do this work for free. And I'm not saying that it happens overnight. I have a program that I run now, and it's a 9-month program where we do tons of work. There is teachings that I do to help keep on track, but then there is tons of private sessions that we do to cleanse away all that past belief and way of thinking, all the negative things about yourself and about the world and about other people, so that you can truly free yourself. So yes, the result of it is that you can manifest the things that you want in your life better, but it's really through learning that you are able to do these things, by really truly learning. So I'm not sure exactly where we started with this lesson here today, but I'm going to wrap it up. And thank you guys for tuning in. If you got that list and you've now become aware of this thing inside of yourself, hey, don't worry about it. Embrace it. Embrace that part of you that no longer is going to have the same hold on you anymore. And you will become so very, very aware of it that here in the future, it's not going to have that same hold on you. It just will not. So if, let's say that you are critical of other people and you've just realized this, you've just become aware of this, well, in the future, when you're going to speak and use your words critically on somebody else, you'll catch yourself, and you're going to start doing it less and less and less and less and less until it's not an issue for you anymore. And then in the future, if you were to say, I'm critical, well, you're going to be aware of that. So it's not going to bother you when you say it. And you're like, yeah, you know what? I am critical of people sometimes, but way less than it was a few months ago. And eventually you'll get to the point where you won't be critical of anybody about anything at all anymore in the future because you're now aware of it. And so you can now do something about it. Thank you guys for tuning in. I love you all so much. Thank you for supporting me. We made it over 2,000 people on my channel, so this is amazing and excellent, and I love it, and I'm so thankful for all of you guys. Thank you for all your likes, shares, comments. If you want to turn your notifications on, then you can know when I drop a new video. But I'm here for you guys. Check out my website. It is down below. It can tell you more about the programs that I offer. There's tons of testimonials on there for my clients, and I love you all so much, and I'm sending you just so much massive, massive amounts of divine white love to every single one of you who is hearing and receiving this message. And I will see you guys in the next video.